Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. It's Lavonne. Thank you for joining me. If you didn't know, we are here Monday through Friday, same time, same station, bringing you guys the news, plus our awesome perspectives, which you for some reason enjoy. Thank you. Please call in, you guys. We've got some awesome guests and some cool topics tonight, per the usual. We are still following Leslie Goldman on his sacred journey to win back sacred seeds. And if you haven't been following that, I will gladly explain as soon as I take a drink of water. I must have like some record for drinking water during the show. I don't think I'm thirstier at any time during the week. Anyhow, Leslie has been journeying from San Diego to Santa Rosa, California, which is just under 1,000 miles north from San Diego, on his way to the 2015 National Heirloom Exposition, which is the world's pure food fair. And I believe this is their fifth year having this fair, and it's going to be between the days of September 8th and 10th at the county fairgrounds in Sonoma County. So there's going to be a huge gathering of people, and they call it the world's pure food fair. So it's a massive assembly of pure food enthusiasts, talented home gardeners, farmers, school groups, and leaders in the food industry. And it's not for-profit event, which is really awesome. All the funds will be donated to school garden education and other sustainable programs. So I want to get a hold of these people and find out what have they funded in the past and what is the future. And I will be traveling to this event with another family. We're going to get there in an eco-friendly RV, which is ran on alternative fuel, which is really cool. So we're going to travel in a green way, and we're going to eat really good food the entire time. Not that we don't strive for that at this time, but we're going to give you guys little tips from the road and show you what we're doing, and hopefully meet a lot of awesome people in September so we can get some more enthusiasm behind our ability to sustain ourselves. So just to give you guys some times, September 8th, 9th, and 10th, they will be open between 11 and 8 p.m., and they will be open for schools at 9 a.m. on Kids Day, which is Thursday. And there's going to be a lot of speakers. You guys can check out the list of speakers. The heirloomexpo.com is where you get all this information that I'm reading to you. But there's a ton of speakers, and there's a ton of teachers, lots of exhibits. I'm so excited. Like, this is huge. This is just shows you where that you can put your energy where it matters to you, and you can see things develop. And that's the theme of tonight's show, in honor of Leslie's journey and my personal journey as a human being on planet Earth. We're evolving every moment, are we not? Like, every moment, 30 trillion cells within your being are conspiring to be better than they are now. They literally clean and repair and heal constantly. So because I think on a cellular level, I think since my cells are doing this, that's ultimately my goal too, is it not? And I call life school. And we're always learning these lessons. And depending on your state of awareness, you can apply those lessons, you can be aware of them or not, or you can dismiss them depending on what you're perceiving. So I always encourage people to be aware of what's going on in your life because it's important to you. It's not important to anyone else but you. It's you're living it for you. And I feel like when we live out our life dream, which is whatever we have within us, like a seed, right? We've got this thing contained within us, and it needs to flourish and thrive and grow. And people grow like seeds when they're supported well. So slowly, and as I find clarity in my own dream as a seed, it's coming together. I'm looking for a place to plant myself and sprout and sustain. And I left my job 2 months ago, literally. I just walked out. I was like slowly dying and getting more responsibility and loving teaching people about wellness. But when you're doing it within a, a means of confinement, and then you start learning things that aren't true to yourself. Like we had to learn these techniques that were kind of manipulative, and I didn't like that. I didn't feel true to my being. Like I didn't want to mislead people. Like you can't share what you don't have, and I didn't have that ability to manipulate in that way. So I don't do it. Just I don't do it, and that's what the theme of tonight's show is if there's something that you want to achieve and that's in you, like the innate calling that is true to you, do it. Like don't not do it. It's important. People spend so much time in wondering, like what if, and I was one of them. I stayed at the job more than I would like to have, just because I was afraid, and I took a leap. Jumped off a little mountain there, and it's been exciting. So I'm working towards building gardens all over the city and connecting people to their food, which is what's in my heart, and that's what I want to do. And I'm working on cleansing my body and cutting out sugars and toxins altogether. My family's kind of at a tipping point in regards to health now, where my generation's become the prevalent one and our elders are getting sick. And although it's common in our society to reach, 40 or 50 and your health decline, I don't want to accept that. I don't think it's normal. I think people should be well capable physically, mentally, and able well until their 80s. And I think that if we choose to be made out of really good, high quality ingredients, we can achieve that, and we could create a new cultural norm of health. I'd like to see people get better and healthier after they retire and have more time to focus on themselves. That would be cool. But in 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 the love of wellness for my family, we're going to, as a collective, my family and I, cleanse our bodies, and this includes my mom's side and my dad's side, and as many of us as we can gather. And it's not going to be very strict. We're not calling it diet. We're calling it a family wellness support group, basically. And we all have the overall goal of being better versions of us. And we're not all going to do exactly the same things, but we're going to do a few of the same things. And I will talk to you guys about those. I'm going to make a list of them so I don't forget any here. Just like my intentions, my show's always been organic. I just kind of have an idea in my mind during the week, and then it just comes together. Like the one time I tried to plan it was a major catastrophe. So the few things that my family and I are going to do together is we're going to focus on our pH and balancing the state of our body. And there are certain foods that make you acidic, and there are certain foods that make you alkaline. And we're just going to get some pH strips, and we're going to test our urine in the morning, because that's when it's like most effective. You got to concentrate of what's in your body. So, there goes my device. So you just go to the bathroom in the morning, and instead of flushing, you simply dip one of these little pH strips in there, and you can get an idea of the pH of your body. as a starting place. And then from there, we're going to cut out like sugary drinks like soda if we haven't already. Drink more water. Excuse me. I'm going to encourage all the family members to consume every day their weight cut in half. So you take your weight and you divide it by two. That number in ounces is what's essential just to function, like as a human. So we're going to consume at least that amount of water daily, decrease our sugar, and decrease our complex carbohydrates, like rices and pastas and grains. And we're going to switch to things like sweet potatoes, quinoa, lentils. And we're going to drink the Bragg's family apple cider vinegar, and we're going to make a cocktail with that. And the recipe can be found on the side of the apple cider vinegar jar, and there's like tons of uses for it. It's really good at balancing the pH in your body. I want to read you the exact recipe, but basically we're going to mix the Bragg's, some really good clean water. And if you go on their website, which is bragg.com, they have tons of recipes on here. So basically, you want about 8 ounces of water and 1 to 2 teaspoons of the vinegar. And then you add some organic honey, and I like to use raw local honey myself just because it helps my immune system become acclimated to my particular environment, and you can do the same. Then you want to add blackstrap molasses for sweetener and maple syrup. And this is a really good beverage that helps balance your pH and clean out your organs. So I'm going to encourage my family to drink that 3 times a day, along with decreased sugar intake and trading complex carbs for sweet potatoes, quinoa, and lentil, and of course kale. And then we're going to make our own juice from vegetables that are organic. So we're going to drink that every day. And then we're going to eat more live foods, meaning more foods that haven't been cooked or preserved. So more things from the garden. A lot of times when you overcook things or you break down their cell wall, all their nutrients and such leak out. So it's important for us to have a balance of things. And personally, from my experience, I feel like all disease is simply a misbalance. It's a non-calibrated machine that just needs to be reestablished. And I think when we get what we call a disease, it's literally just a dysfunction. So how do you get back into function? You stimulate your system. So we've been waiting for Leslie to call in from the road. I think this is him. Welcome to the show. This is Lavonne. Hello.
Hi, Lavonne.
Leslie, thank you for calling. How's it going?
Well, I just had a magical experience with 2 remarkable young people who and we're on our way out of Hobbit land. We just went to a farmer's market way out in the country, and there was no service, so I apologize. I'm going to introduce Rachel and Jonathan. Rachel, say where we just were. I mean, it was just amazing where we were.
We were over at the Occidental Farmers Market. It's a pretty short little one, but it's just really sweet. A lot of familiar faces from other markets that we tend to go to, but it's just a really quaint little area out there in the woods. It's really nice.
Yeah, West Sonoma County. It's there's no cell phone service, and a lot of people that live kind of a more natural lifestyle. It's kind of the norm. It's really beautiful, though. Lots of redwood trees. It's kind of at the edge of the redwoods and the other growth. It's kind of where the redwoods meet all the other trees.
I like that you call it Hobbit Land.
It kind of is.
I want to go to Hobbit Land.
Lavonne, I just cannot believe what I experienced in 15 minutes. You know, we were out of cell phone range, and
Lucky
there
you.
was
How was that?
it was like I was taking pictures. I'll post them, and you could grab them for Instagram. But in 15 minutes, I met all these delightful young people. Some that are going to be at the Farm to Ferment Festival tomorrow. Rachel, tell what we just bought, and like I bought tomorrow's the fermentation festival. But tell about what we just did and the drink that you got. Introduce yourself.
Hi. So we just got some pretty simple sauerkraut. There's a booth there called Cirque de Ferment, which are some friends of ours. I make some different, fermented cabbage and carrots and peppers and so on and so forth. And they do a lot of kefir beverages, and they did a Palo Salto, I think it's called, kefir. And it was really quite delicious. I had only smelt it when you smoke burn the bark of it, but to be able to kind of drink it was very interesting and very cleansing of the lungs. It was really nice. And then we got a strawberry mint lemon kefir, which is quite delicious too.
Yummy. Those are probiotics, right? Those help balance the flora in the gut, which is really important.
Yes, it's fermented. It's kefir greens that ferments. It's kind of like with milk kefir, but it's a water kefir.
Yeah, the kefir grain, the water kefir grain can feed on many types of sugar, opposed to like kombucha, and it generally has about between 25 and 35 different strains of probiotics. So it's kind of unique that way. But
that's awesome. And then you don't have to consume dairy, which is really important.
Yes. And they also, I believe that the people that we went to also use a Jun culture, which is a kombucha that is fed only honey. And they use a combination of kefir grains and Jun culture to create a really good probiotic strawberry soda. It's all made from local farmers market ingredients. But,
oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it can't be better, and it is one of those things, especially for me, like I don't tolerate kombucha that well, but the kefir and the Jun cultures, I do really well on. I do better on those natural ferments than I do on some probiotics, like the supplements.
And I'm glad that you brought this up because we're going to talk about the importance of fermentation together. And I was just telling the audience how my family and I are on a quest to support each other in wellness. And one of the things that's really important in our journey is pH balance and flora balance. And do you know about the importance of flora in the gut?
Oh, we sure do. Yeah, and I mean it's amazing because the bacteria in our gut and in our body outnumber our cells 10 to 1. So it's more important to nurture the bacteria in our body than our own cells, perhaps.
That's a really good
right
point.
Time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I wanted to tell people that most of our immune system is in our belly. So we got to keep the balance in our belly strong. And when we eat too much sugar, we support the guys that we don't want to support necessarily. A lot of people argue that candida equals cancer. And a lot of studies suggest that if we decrease our sugar and trade up our complex carbs for things that are healthier, we can achieve a better balance. And I bring this up because you guys make delicious treats. And you do it in a healthy way. And why do you do it? And how do you do it? Tell us about that.
Well, for us, we used to make traditional French chocolate through using sugar and butter and all that stuff, which it was great. But for us to have to taste that so often and consume it, we just ended up getting sick from it. And we decided, we don't really want people to feel this way. We want to support them having this treat without having to regret eating it. And so for us, we do organic, fair trade, sugar-free vegan chocolates with probiotics and prebiotics in there. So it gives it a really good belly fat, and we put certain fat blends in there that are really just heart healthy and great for keeping into a ketogenic state.
What's that word?
Ketogenic.
What's that big beautiful word mean?
Well, our brain can metabolize two types of fuel. It can take glucose from sugar, or from even starches can create glucose in the body, or it can produce ketones from fat and use it like glucose. And it's one thing to be noted is that fat doesn't tend to feed the bad organisms in our body if it's a healthy fat.
There are good fats.
Growth of, right. Doesn't really encourage the growth of the bad kind of bacteria, and like things like cancer cells, they can consume glucose and grow, but they can't eat ketones. So ketones are, at least if your body's in a state where it's metabolizing ketones and not sugar, you're setting yourself up to have a lower cancer risk, and the benefits for neurologically are incredible because you are feeding your brain what we evolved on, more so than just giving yourself straight glucose, which is important from time to time, but it's definitely good to maintain that for cognitive health and just to reduce Alzheimer's. There's a lot of reasons to want to be in ketosis.
Let me make a comment. Lavonne?
Yes, Leslie.
So we're in Jonathan's car right now, and what's amazing to me that I just wanted to make a comment. I just arrived in Northern California today. I visited the Petaluma Seed Bank, and I kind of went and visited the vault and got some new National Heirloom T-shirts. That's one of my purpose of coming up now is to promote the National Heirloom Expo. But like our friends Mo and Eva, who want to come up, and maybe you'll be able to come up too in a while for the show. We talk about, we have this dream of living a simpler life or growing food. I just was at a farmer's market that, like I say, it was like Hobbit land. It was surrounded by trees. It was like a little village where these people set up this farmer's market. It wasn't like anything I'd ever experienced before in an urban farmer's market. It was like this tribe of escaped people, how sometimes we dream about living the simple life. Well, Jonathan and Rachel are actually living in a condominium in Sebastopol, which I'm going to explore tomorrow because there's this farm to ferment festival. But we went out beyond cell phone range in this place called Occidental, and just in about 10 or 15 minutes, I saw all these escapees, Lavonne. I'm talking really bright-eyed, beautiful people who've discovered a whole world of ferments and creating things out of herbs and words that we don't even hear in San Diego, things like jung or whatever that was. They're just they're really doing a culture here. Just like fermentation is about culture, they're living in a whole nother world that sometimes we dream about escaping. And a lot of people listen to the show, the anti-media show, we think, wow, wouldn't it be something? Is there a different alternative? I just stepped into Hobbit land. It's just unbelievable. And when you see the pictures of Rachel and Jonathan on my blog tomorrow, Jonathan is 22 years old. Rachel is 19. Rachel's from Nantucket, and Rachel was just sharing some of the intimacies of her childhood and how, sometimes you and I talk about that, how we grow from our experiences. But it's led them to come together and discover some other things about life. And I want to turn back to Rachel. Maybe she'll share a little bit about. Rachel, can you share some ideas about breakdowns turning into breakthroughs, or how your life has led you to this nature path, and how now you're making this chocolate with Jonathan. And tell us specifically, what's the name of the chocolate company? What's the philosophy? You use words vegan, you use words fair trade. We've mentioned it before, but I want to hear, Rachel, tell a little bit about yourself and tell about these principles upon which you're living that we're going to, that is bringing you to this new lifestyle and actually bringing you out of some of the things you've experienced as a young teenager. Here, Rachel.
So for me, ever since I was younger, I always felt, I keep getting dealt all these bad cards. And this is terrible. This is bad. And I started to get into this mentality of I'm suffering and I need people to feel for me so I can feel better. And through that, I realized it's not necessarily bad cards being drawn. It's just lessons that I need to learn so I may help those who don't fully understand just yet be able to clean my own lifestyle up so I may continue to help others as I've always loved to do. For me, I did therapeutic riding for many years, so I was working with mentally, physically, and emotionally disabled children and adults. And it really opened my eyes to realize there's something going on here that even I didn't understand quite yet. And I've got to help people. I have to be able to show them that there isn't just a little word for whatever ailment you have. It's how do you want to change where you're at. And through meeting Jonathan, we've learned so many incredible things on how to heal the things we had going on so we may help others. And through that, just even with friends we've had, seeing their experiences through changing their diet and just their lifestyles to be happy and healthy and willing to help others through their troubles too has just been a beautiful experience. And
tell about your diet, sweetheart. How do you eat? What do you eat, and what's important to you, and how you eat?
Jonathan and I, we don't really place a name on what we eat, but we don't consume flesh anymore. We occasionally have raw dairy or eggs from some local farms and whatnot, but we eat a very high raw plant-based diet, and it kind of changes with the seasons and how we feel, but we're in no way dogmatic of how someone should eat or what they need to be eating, but we always support people in doing something better with the situations they're in. And for Jonathan and I, just consuming a lot of raw foods and fermented foods has just been the most beneficial for the both of us, depending on what we're doing or where we are. And it just seems to be one of the most healing things, getting those natural enzymes that are in your food to help break everything down and get that energy without being weighed down from all the food that we used to eat. So in that time, we've just created beautiful recipes, and even with our chocolates, doing chocolates with healthy fats and inulin-based sweeteners, which feed the good bacteria in your body, and do the fermented chocolate as well to give it a lot of probiotics in all our chocolates. It's just beautiful that we're able to do this and make it so people out there who necessarily don't want to change everything can at least have the health alternative to something that they're also used to. Because for me, I liked chocolate, but I was only used to Hershey's chocolate and stuff like that. And coming out here and being able to learn what we've learned and optimizing all these beautiful chocolates, some with Chinese herbs and some we ferment with kefir cultures. So that way we have a probiotic Mexican spice chocolate and things like that. But still doing it all in while getting that perfect buttery consistency is just been the fun of all of it. So our goal is just to supply people with a healthy alternative so that they don't have to feel, even if they are changing their diet, that they have to be so strict and stressed about it. They can have a sweet treat without feeling guilty and the least fit for it. And that's our goal, is to have something a little bit different just to get people on a path to overall health and happiness.
That's beautiful that you've taken something that people love and made it healthy and beneficial to their bodies. So I commend you. Well done. I can't wait to taste your creations. Rachel, we're trying to connect with somebody else who's calling in. We're going to add them to our call right now, okay? Let's see who's trying to call us. Hi there. Hi, you've been trying to give us a call. What's your name? Welcome to the show.
The goddess of anti-media. How you doing tonight?
The goddess of anti-media. Well, hello. That's one I haven't heard before. Is this
Yeah,
Manny?
yeah, of course it's Manny.
What's going on, Manny?
Well, I'm just enjoying your show. I'm happy to hear about, everybody trying to eat more healthy in their family and stuff like that, because I've been a vegetarian 25 years since Valentine's Day, and I'm happy to hear about other people not using sugar. I don't eat candy. I don't eat sugar. I don't drink sodas. I don't. And when I do use like something on my pancakes or something like that, I use agave, and it's raw, not just
Mm.
regular agave, raw agave and stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying your show and stuff like that, and really I love hearing, Leslie and his friends about kombucha, because kombucha is super good for your system. So I'm kind of glad to hear somebody's actually drinking that, and I hope you're drinking that yourself. It's really, really good stuff and all that.
Yeah, we're working on it. Did you hear about the probiotic chocolate that Rachel and Jonathan make?
Yeah, that's what I was listening and stuff like that.
Well,
So
you can ask
I
her
was
some questions. Manny, Rachel, Manny, feel free to ask her some questions.
okay. Rachel, when you eat all that, basically chocolate, is it dark or light?
Yes, we use a 99% chocolate, and we sweeten it ourselves. We don't go from straight bean to bar, but we do get single origin chocolates from a local factory around here that makes organic fair trade chocolate. We use that. It's really nice to be able to get that 99% because it's not always the easiest to come by. So we've been doing that for a while. But yeah, we keep it it's just dark chocolate, and we use a stevia, a non-solvent extracted stevia for our outside shell because we use molded pieces. And then on the inside, we use an inulin-based sweetener that's called a Jerusalem artichoke sweetener. So it's got the prebiotic fibers in it that are great for encouraging good gut bacteria and so on and so forth, and brain health and things like that.
Okay, so tell how where people can get your chocolate and how people can get it.
Yeah, right now our production facility, we've been renovating it a little bit, but we'll hopefully be open within the next couple, maybe a week or two, to open up our online store again, which is HIKIND.com. There you can always see the images and a little tidbit about what we do and where we are, but we'll be opening our online shop again.
Yeah, I'd like to add also that with the probiotics that we do, there are probiotic chocolates and there are probiotics on the market, but the probiotics that we do are actually a live fermentation. It's done with kefir cultures. The unique thing about the kefir culture, which is something that even the probiotic manufacturers are starting to do, people that make it in a lab, they're finding that the kefir cultures are protected. They're like an eggshell. They're protected by polysaccharides. So the bacteria is able to survive conditions that other bacteria, like sauerkraut bacteria, like other lactic acid bacteria, cannot generally survive in for a long period of time. So the kefir culture allows a more stable probiotic, and it also allows a higher count of in pill or maybe a powder that's made in the lab and grown on rice or something like that.
Well, you guys seem to have all of these technical things in regards to the science of making chocolate really balanced well with the importance of making it healthy. So I'm kind of blown away right now. What do you think,
Oh,
Manny?
oh yeah, I am too, because I didn't even know about that and all that. So I appreciate that they're educating people out there and stuff like that. And I'm really glad to hear Leslie's trip is going good and all that. I almost went on a hunger strike, though, because Leslie, he didn't stop in Hollywood, you know what I mean?
Oh, Leslie, you missed Manny in Hollywood.
And stuff like that. So continue what you do best and all that, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you.
You there?
I'm here. So Manny's important. He's an activist, and he used to work in the fields, and he creating, as a farmer in the Monsanto fields, and he's dealt firsthand with the corruption of the food industry, and now he speaks out against it, and he's an advocate for wellness. So Thank you for calling in, Manny. Lots of love to you. We really appreciate all the work that you do. He's awesome.
Nice to hear from you.
Totally. Yeah, he said he almost went on a hunger strike, Leslie, because you didn't come see him.
Wow, really?
You have to stop and see him on your way back home, maybe.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good idea.
Good.
Lavonne, one thing that's blowing me away, I know age is relative, but Rachel is when I look at some of the kids that are 18 or 19 and have been locked into the system of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, how people get all prepped to enter into the world. I don't know what kind of education you had, Rachel, but you look to me, I mean, I'm hearing a brilliant 19-year-old. Did you go through regular schooling or what? I mean, you seem like you somehow got out of the pizza box. Get out of the pizza, grow a healthier pizza. It's about getting out of the pizza box. When I look at you and Jonathan, you're out of the pizza box. How did you get out of the pizza box, Rachel?
Well, for me, I grew up in a really small little island, so kind of the education system there was all right, but for me, it was the lessons I had to learn through other people and going through these serious life experiences to realize, is it worth my time to suffer or put myself in these situations, or how am I going to learn to get out of them for the better of myself and hopefully others that I know? And, going through all the crazy things you can go through in this world, it makes you really appreciate these simple little times and the knowledge we can all withhold within us. And so for me, just being thrown into all these experiences, I had to realize I got to do something. I can't just sit around and wait for other people to do it for me. And through there, I flew out to California and never went back. And I've just been learning every day. Jonathan and I listen to interviews and reading articles and just loving to learn and needing to know more.
You're evolving. You're nurturing your mind, and it's beautiful. And well said. Thank you for sharing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Lavonne, this is really amazing. I'm kind of excited. We're in a car right now. We're trying to, we're on our way to maybe see Jennifer Harris, who's putting on this farm to ferment festival that's going to be really incredible tomorrow. And some of those people will be at the National Heirloom Expo. I think the address is 2060 College. It's Finley Hall. But we're in Santa Rosa. We're it's like, can you believe it?
You made it.
I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to drive. I was having these leg pains. And here I drove the Enchanted Garden Mobile, my 68 VW van, I made it to the Petaluma Speedway. Now we're in the car, and I'm getting excited. I mean, this is my first look at Santa Rosa. That's where one of my favorite places here is the Luther Burbank Home and Garden, who is a great educator of children. And he believed that no one should ever, he believed that kids should be in nature for the first 10 years. That you shouldn't even stick them in classrooms.
I agree.
Let their imagination roam free. That's how he teaches his kind of education. And, I always like to go to the Luther Burbank Home and Garden right before the expo. But we just passed the street where the National Heirloom Expo is going to be. And there's people coming from all over the world. And just to think that I drove up from San Diego to, and I have the hospitality of beautiful Jonathan and Rachel. I mean, it's quite remarkable that we're all together. And just think what it'd be like if people just went out on a limb and got in their vehicles or flew in here to the National Heirloom Expo.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to get
all
there.
These people, all these amazing, it's a whole nother culture, and it really goes with fermentation. Jonathan, could you say something about culture and fermentation, how that goes together?
As in that ferments are cultured, or
just the whole idea of culture and fermentation somehow go together. You know what I mean? It's a metaphor, you know?
I believe so. I mean, whether you're speaking about a culture of bacteria or a culture of people, I can't help but see that people that are adapting this, really, it's an older method of just food preservation. People that are adapting this, they certainly have a lot in common and become kind of a connection people have, because I think everyone to some degree, if we live on planet Earth, we've been exposed to something that might require us to need a little bit of more beneficial bacteria and just eat food that has that's alive. So I think that people that recognize that are starting to come together and starting to recognize the art that's behind it. I mean, it really is an art. There's no absolutes in fermenting. Certainly, some things are more precise than others, but ultimately, it's kind of an art form, and it's more so than culinary. And I think that as people get creative with it, there are so many things that people can ferment. I mean, people can ferment even baby squash, and it doesn't just have to be pickles. It doesn't have to be just sauerkraut. It can be shredded carrots. There's so many different things people can do, and I truly believe that you can enjoy any kind of food as long as you prepare it in the way that your body will like it best. And like me, I don't care for beets, but if I the taste of them, I couldn't bite into a raw beet. But if I shredded it and put it in a salad, then I can eat it, and then I can get the benefits. So I believe that even with sauerkraut, if only people were familiar with the varieties that you can produce, because some people, they think it's that mushy pasteurized stuff you buy. And there are so many flavors, and I truly believe that everyone can find a flavor that they like, and they can change it up if they get tired of it. I mean, I think it's just a phenomenal thing to support. We don't personally make the sauerkraut ourselves, but there's so many people out here that do it, and we just love supporting them. It's a lot of fun.
It's worth
So
learning.
talk about the industries. You know, like how young people are creating industries of either making sauerkraut, or one man was making he was supporting indigenous people with chocolate at this market we were just at. I just tasted the most delicious cacao, which is chocolate. And this is a world that people have lived in for thousands of years, Lavonne, without refrigerators and without plugging into the wall. Every culture has its own fermented processes, and this new generation of Jonathan and Rachel and all these young people are so bright-eyed, and you'll see them at the National Heirloom Expo. They're just unbelievable, these bright, brilliant young people who travel the world and just are riding the waves of fermentation. Jonathan, say something about the history of fermentation as opposed to refrigeration. What are we talking about here?
Well, we've only had refrigeration for the masses of people have only had refrigeration for probably 60, 70 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. But before that, we had to store our food, especially during the winter, before harvest was over, depending on the climate people lived in. And it's a long lost tradition that
You're telling me we don't need electricity to survive and preserve our food. There are other methods that are actually have health benefits.
Yes.
Absolutely.
People don't even know that. People don't know that.
I know. We've become kind of detached in this world where we think everything has to be sterile. Now, I'm not saying that hygiene doesn't have some importance when a ton of people are packed into a city. It definitely becomes more important then, but we've gotten to this point where we want all our food to be sterilized, irradiated, and microwaved, and boiled to death. And now we lost the essence of our food, which is in living organisms. Even, like, for example, cabbage has wild bacteria that lives on the outside and on the inside, and it's what makes cabbage so good for you, the bacteria. It's what allows sauerkraut to grow, because sauerkraut can't ferment without beneficial bacteria. It's just so happens that cabbage has that beneficial bacteria. So you could add something like carrots, which have a relatively high sugar content, and the bacteria in the sauerkraut, being lactic acid bacteria, will actually feed on the sugars and convert even the minute amount of sugars in carrots into something beneficial. And it's such a wonderful thing. And there's the other aspect, which is something that we do in our chocolate, which are the prebiotic fibers, because there's several types of fibers. There's your soluble fiber, your insoluble fiber, and then some of the soluble fibers are known as inulin, and inulin will actually encourage the growth of good bacteria in your gut without, what do you say, inulin can encourage good bacteria growth without even adding probiotics. It actually will give food to the good bacteria.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Right, and it's found in things like artichokes and asparagus. It's found in jicama. It's found in, in sunchokes, in yacon. I know yacon has become somewhat popular because it's similar to jicama and sunchokes in that you take the juice and you boil it down, then you actually get a syrup that's similar in flavor to maple syrup. It's sweet as maple syrup, doesn't have any of the sugar that maple syrup has. It can actually be as low as 0 on the glycemic index, still be sweet, and actually encourage the growth of good bacteria in your gut. So it's actually a sweetener that's not just healthier, it's one that's actually health promoting. So it's just a phenomenal thing.
Jonathan, let me ask you a question. Could you describe for Lavonne and some of her listeners, what did they do with the because different ones, me and Lavonne, we shop at our farmers market. What could Lavonne do? She's a mom with a couple kids. What could she do with a cabbage? Or give us something practical, like how would Lavonne make something, like pickle something in a jar, or what could she do?
Well, sauerkraut can be made as simple as shredding cabbage and with a knife or with a food processor, and then you want to add salt, and salt will draw the water out of the cabbage because it penetrates the cell wall and will actually bring the water out. And you want to add a good amount of salt to make it salty, and then you get a brine that will form. So it'll go from crisp cabbage like you would put in a salad to like a mushy, soggy, watery substance. That you can season with spices or something like that, and then you put it in a jar and make sure that there's still brine covering the top. You could even make a saltwater solution, very salty water, and you can pour that over the top of the sauerkraut, and then you can just put an airlock like used in brewing. You can get a little plastic ball jar lid, or you can get the metal lid and drill a hole in the top and just put one of those corks that they use for brewing beer or something. It's an airlock to prevent the bad bacteria from getting in there, and as simple as that, you could have a probiotic sauerkraut because you don't need to add anything. Now, you can add starter cultures, and they make some good ones out there. I know that exactly. Dr. Mercola made one that actually encourages the growth of vitamin K2, and actually enough to bring it to a therapeutic level. And vitamin K2 is kind of amazing vitamin because it helps vitamin D metabolism, so it helps the sunlight produce vitamin D in your body. it also is good for distributing calcium to the right places in your body. So
That's
without those
important.
vitamins that's where we end up getting things like arthritis and cataracts and all, just stiffness in general. A lot
Did
of
you
that
know
comes
that
from.
the carbonation in sodas actually draws calcium out of your bones? So
I
when
didn't.
when people are drinking anything carbonated, not only is it really sugary, but it's also pulling that calcium out, and that's really important that you mentioned that there's an alternative to get the benefit without consuming milk.
Right. And even easier than doing a sauerkraut, you could just do kombucha. Rachel's a little better versed with kombucha making, but you can also do kefir. Kefir is very simple because especially the water kefir, because all you need is some sort of sugar to feed it, and then the sugars break down into polysaccharides and simple sugars. So it really doesn't become a sugar that would feed infection in your body or feed, pathogenic organisms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so important. There have been people locally. They make beverages that taste like root beer and everything. It has a similar sweetness, but it has none of the drawbacks. It actually has health benefits. I'm sure Rachel can share a little bit on how to make the kombucha, but these are just simple things that taste delicious, and they really, really make a difference when it comes to encouraging good bacteria in your gut. And one thing I'll add on top of that is that there are scientific studies out there, I think a few, that have shown that the higher amount of lactic acid bacteria in your gut, which are what we kind of see as probiotic organisms, lactic acid bacteria, the higher amounts of lactic acid bacteria correlate with lower anxiety and depression. So that's a big deal. So just that's not a guarantee, of course, but that is suggesting that the more beneficial bacteria we get into our body, the less anxiety, depression, all those negative emotions we'll be experiencing. And
so tomorrow there's a farm to fermentation festival, and we've arrived at the location where it's going to be. Let's just keep talking, but let's see if we can find Jennifer Harris, the lady who's putting on this wonderful festival. Let's take a walk and see if we can go see her. What time is it, Lavonne?
We've got about 5 more minutes of
Wow.
talking time here. Thank you for sharing that recipe about what to do with cabbage.
Sorry, I had plugged in. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no worries. We got a few more minutes, but I love this information you guys are sharing. It's really important to everybody for our health and wellness and things we can do at home to take control of ourselves. Like, people get so overwhelmed with the notion of needing another system to support them. You're everything you need, all contained inside of you. You just got to figure out how to support what's already there. So gut bacteria and fermenting foods and all the things you guys are talking about are so important. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And tell me more about what I can do at home, please. Hello?
Sorry, I was trying to, the phone took it off speakerphone, so I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome. So go ahead and tell us. Jonathan was saying that you know how to make kombucha. Like, what can you give people an idea of how that works? And
So essentially, you're taking a SCOBY, which is a symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria, and you're taking that and you're putting it into a very sugary, caffeinated tea, and you ferment that. I typically do it from 7 to 10 days. And you start to get this really fizzy, light flavor. And I do a white tea with roses in mine, so it's very floral, light kombucha. And then I'll take some local stone fruit or berries and things like that and do a secondary fermentation. So you're allowing another day to have new types of sugar to ferment. And then you bottle it and refrigerate it to keep it for longer. And it slowly eats up those sugars that you just added again with fruit. And so you're allowing all different types of bacteria with different fibers from the fruit and so on and so forth. And some people actually take juice, like green juices or stuff like that, and they're fermenting that with kombucha cultures.
Oh my gosh.
So kombucha, you're using a cane sugar, but there's also jun, which is becoming popular, which is a honey ferment with the same type of SCOBY.
Yeah, I heard Jonathan say that earlier, and I've never heard of that before, but it sounds even more beneficial in regards to health. And speaking of a SCOBY, where do people get SCOBYs, or how do you create a SCOBY? You said it was bacteria and yeast.
A lot of people will use the company GT's kombucha, and you just take their 21 and over version and ferment that, and you let it sit out in a sugar tea, and you'll create that bacteria. But a lot of which you could purchase them online, on Amazon, and so on.
Okay, I didn't know that. A lot of my friends that have SCOBYs got them from a friend who has a SCOBY, because they kind of produce, don't they? These SCOBYs?
Yeah, the SCOBYs will grow very rapidly. So you'll get quite a few of them. I have about 12 right now, and it's starting to get overwhelming, so I need to start handing them out as gifts.
So
usually,
the SCOBYs reproduce, and is it like an exact copy of itself, or is each one kind of different? How does that work?
Well, they're all a little bit different, depending, say you're in a not-so-clean environment, you're going to get different types of bacteria, or if you're in a sterile environment, you'll get different bacteria. It's also depending on how you clean your jars or what you add, like certain tea and stuff like that. So it just encourages different bacteria when you do that.
Well, awesome. I really appreciate all of your knowledge and all of your efforts towards making people their optimal selves. You guys are very inspiring, and you make some delicious chocolate that is healthy. Like, I'm pretty sure I want to live on your chocolate and food from my garden. That's like a goal in my life now.
Yeah. That's something we're very close to being able to manufacture large amounts again. We have a large facility in Santa Rosa, and we've just been cleaning up the place and getting it all taken care of.
I can't wait. Well, I'm working on something too, and I'd love to put some of your chocolate on my store and share it with people. So we can talk about that.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the future, and I'm really excited for you guys to be helping Leslie in his efforts towards going towards or getting to the food festival. I'm hoping you're going to be there, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I've been planning this week with my friend Eva. Eva and Mo are going to travel in their RV, which is economical. It's a green vehicle. So we're all going to travel as a family, and we're going to hopefully meet you. So how exciting is that?
Yeah, it's very exciting.
If you can, bring me some of that chocolate, a little sample.
Yes, we are. We just had to do some construction with our space, so we're finally at the ending of doing all that. We're at the cleanup stage, and we'll be ready to open back up.
Well, I can't wait to have some. I need probiotics and chocolate, and especially at the same time. It's like awesome. Lots of love to you, Rachel. Thank you to Jonathan. Leslie, I will talk to you soon, and I'll catch you guys next week and on Monday. Bye.
I love you and your listeners, and you have a great night.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, we'll be meeting soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.